Welcome back to Safety Harbor Scott. I'm Scott Long, and this is the week of April 3rd, and my guest this week is a wonderful soul in town, Laura Kepner. She's the co-author of A Brief History of Safety Harbor, Florida with Warren Verschine. All right, got that right, good. Author of Images of America's Safety Harbor, her newest book, and she does quite a bit of other writing and is involved with our city's museum board, and also serves with me on the Whispering Souls African American Cemetery Restoration Project. We may work that in somewhere here, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so very active. So thank you for being here, Laura.
Thank you.
And before we get into questions, I just want to, if it's okay, I just want to say thank you. I mean, I don't know how often people in town tell you that.
Thank you.
If not, they really should. I'm a big history nerd. I've lived here 21 years now, I think, right? I love it. I'm fully committed, as you are. So many other people in town are. Can't imagine living anywhere else. And so if you're that into the city, I think you really have to know the history of it, right?
Yeah.
And there are like, 4 gajillion books written about the Trump White House and 4 gajillion books written about the Civil War. Yeah. But it's really, there's not a lot of books written about cities of 18,000 people, right? I think. So anyhow, I just want to thank you for all you've done with these 2 things in the presentations, because I've learned so much from you, and I hope everybody else has read the books has learned so much
I hope so too.
about this amazing town. Yeah, go ahead and show them there. So, all right, so let's start with what prompted you to write the first book? Did you just wake up in the middle of the night and go, I'm going to write a history of Safety Harbor, or were there a lot of little steps?
I'll try not to go too long, but I moved here in 2008 from Washington State. I was a teacher assistant there. I was really burnt out, and I couldn't find a job here anything. And my husband, Chris, was very, very kind and said, why don't you just do what you love? Why don't you write? And
I took the opportunity. Like that too.
Yeah, I mean, it was that chance to do that. And so I hurried, and I started learning, taking more classes, and, really, I didn't know that much about it. I had written about 2 articles before.
Wow, really? Okay.
And so I got some of these penny click, jobs where you write content for eHow and that kind of thing. But I was with my son, who is a history teacher. He's up in Orlando now, but we went to see the town, and we went to the museum before it was, refurbished and all that, and it just was so intriguing. And I asked them for a book, and they said, oh, we don't have one. There's no book on Safety Harbor, but there's a little pamphlet that was done in the 80s with some first-hand accounts of the fire and that kind of thing, but there had never been a book. So I just feel lucky that I got here when I did.
Yeah.
Because people were starting to get hungry for local history, and History Press, that's what they do. And Arcadia, they're sister
so they're related.
companies. They're related, but these are always full of pictures, and this one's more text heavy. We had to learn everything. I started a writers group in 2010 down at Taste Cafe. That's now the sushi restaurant.
Wow, that's a little fun.
Yeah, and I put a little sign up on the bulletin board that said, writers group wanted, writers wanted, and people showed up.
Awesome.
And I asked Warren, who I realized was a great writer, and he was very organized. I'm not as organized. He's a lawyer by trade, so that helped. I'm the one that'll go knock on doors, and he's the one that'll research.
Gotcha.
I've learned to research since, but we teamed up. At one point, I wondered if we'd still be friends, because I was frustrating him a lot, and but we are. We're still. He's one of my dear friends. So, and then the second one, there's so many new pictures that pop up like on eBay, and I thought we need all of those pictures compiled.
Well, and I think they work well together because, again, the history you have to read and understand that too. But that second book, you dropped it off my house, and I literally got on the couch and I didn't get up until I went through it, because the photos are just so amazing.
Yeah.
And you've done these presentations too. They aren't in the book, but of what these buildings look like now, which I think is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
So great. So all right. So obviously it was a long journey for both these books. You spent a lot of time learning. Were there any favorite interactions? Any parts of this that were just like mind-blowing? Wow, this is awesome. This is why I'm doing this.
Yeah, well, discovering things that, for us was brand new. Like getting to talk to Goldie Banks, she's not here now, but she lived to be almost 100. Her father was Charlie Smith.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Goldie was brought here because her father thought that she would grow. She was born premature, and he thought that if he brought his family here, his daughter would survive. And I got to interview her, like I said, when she was old, and I was sitting in her living room in awe.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
just of her story. Wasn't anything, she wasn't a star anywhere, but she lived here her whole life, you know.
Yeah.
It was just.
Well, I think that's
don't know, it felt
interesting too,
surreal.
because I mean, there's so much focus on celebrities in our world now, right?
Yeah.
But real people have real
Yeah.
stories, right? And it
that
doesn't
was,
have to be anything
and that was
fascinating.
for this one, and she's quoted in here. But for this book, I have to give credit to BJ.
Okay, yeah.
BJ McMullen, her flower shop down on
Yeah.
Main Street. You've got to read the history about
Yeah.
her, and she gave me, I don't know, a quarter of the pictures in the book.
Wow.
Loaned them to me, trusted me to go scan them, and
Yeah,
I felt like I had diamonds.
yeah, no doubt, that stuff.
So, go see BJ. She's amazing.
Yeah.
She knows more history than anybody.
All right, I'm sure you've also ran into like challenges too. I know just a couple of you told me like, you know, trying to find certain photos and
Yeah.
or people that aren't really like trusting in what you're doing too, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, what were some of the obstacles that you had to overcome that
Well, I
folks might
think
not
the
realize?
biggest one that actually turned full circle was about the cemetery. The Whispering Souls African American Cemetery, in 2013, when I thought I discovered it, you know, it really wasn't written about before. Of course, the families here in Safety Harbor who had people buried there, they knew about it. When I went out there, it was, you know, this high in weeds.
Yeah.
Well, you saw it when
Yeah.
it needed a lot of work. And I just felt compelled then to do something about it, but I wasn't the person
Right.
to do it. And unfortunately, there had been someone back in the 90s who came in and tried to buy the property. And so the community that has people buried there thought that that was what I wanted.
Yeah.
So it was really hard to get people to tell me the history about the cemetery.
Yeah.
Donna Mack was amazing. She introduced me to several people in the African American community who shared their history, and I wish I had had more for the first book, but it was important to me to include it because the African American community did not get the kudos deserved in the newspapers or anything, you know, back in the day.
You probably would agree with me too. You could probably write a whole other book on just
Absolutely.
that community in Safety
Yeah.
Harbor. I mean, I've learned so much from
Yeah.
the cemetery project and Jacqueline and everybody involved that I'm like,
Yeah.
it really is a fascinating part of fascinating and also sad, frustrating, all kinds of adjectives, right? You could
Right.
use. So,
But I mean, we're a happy story.
Yeah, right.
You know, yesterday, Jacqueline and I
Yes,
were
that's right.
on with Tallahassee, and we're getting a state historical marker out there.
fantastic.
So
Can't wait to see that out
yeah,
there.
yeah.
All right. This is gonna be a hard question, I think, for you. What part of Safety Harbor's history have you found most fascinating?
Well, probably how it persevered. Safety Harbor was, you know, back in the 20s, it was very poor. People wouldn't believe that now, but, you know,
Yeah, I don't think
people,
anybody describes it.
exactly, and especially after the hurricane, the town just crumbled. But the good thing that happened was that they got some help to build roads. People came here for the water. They didn't necessarily come here to live until the land boom, and then they left. So the fascinating part was overall, like I said, the perseverance of the core people, and that's been throughout our history. The other thing throughout our history that I have to mention is that people have always been passionate about the politics. So if you're new here and you go through an election time, it can be really, really frustrating for even
absolutely.
not just the people running, as you know, but it's always been that way. And I don't know if every small town is like that, but boy,
I like to think it is, but it certainly seems...
it's gotten ugly over the years.
Yeah, it certainly seems worse here than I
yeah.
hear from other stores.
And you're not the only generation, though. It goes way back. So that was interesting to me. I think because people are so passionate about their love for the city. You know?
Well, I think that's another interesting thing, too, because, you know, the first show I had Aaron Stewart on here, who I know you talked to a lot, his
I love
family.
Aaron.
You
Yeah.
spent a whole other show talking about his
Right.
family, right? But he's native here.
Yes.
And anytime I meet somebody that's native here, I'm like, it's like a... like an albino squirrel, right? Like they just don't exist.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating. And I had a meeting this week too with somebody I'll probably put you in touch with. 3 generations are here.
Yeah.
And trying to get his dad to share some history as well too. So, but there is interesting that there's so many new people in town. And I consider us new, even though 20 years you've been here, 15, right? Yeah. We're still new.
Right.
Not to mention all the people in the last couple
years. I like that Safety Harbor is not considered. I mean, it's fine that we were a retirement community and we still are, but we have some young people coming with children, and there's a new vitality. So. But
I guess my point I was getting at is like, even though probably I don't know the percentage of like natives versus
exactly,
but it's got to be drastically different, right?
And it was hard to get that out of. I mean, not hard to get it out of Aaron, but I didn't know that about him until I actually said, "Come on, let me talk to you." I didn't know it either. Yeah. So
but I wonder if like those families that have been here forever, even though they're not like, they're not on commission, they're not in pound necessarily, but the family still has a strong.
Those are the stories I love the most,
right?
Because they are the ones who survived. They're not getting, they're not being put on the front of a newspaper, but they have these rich stories that need to be told. So.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah. All right, so what plans do you have? You have any more books coming up? Any more history you want to hit at?
What I'm doing now is I'm trying to add articles to Safety Harbor history, safetyharborhistory.com. I have to remember. It's I haven't been really active on that, but I'm adding articles to it so that people who aren't on Facebook or maybe who don't get the magazine, Safety Harbor Living, which is great. If they don't get that, they can still read the articles. Those are on the website. And I apologize, somehow there's ads that pop up and I'm going to try to get rid of them, but I don't know
the
how.
bills though, so it's all right.
Anyway,
it's all right.
But I'm doing that and writing. I love writing those articles every month. Just being active with the cemetery and the museum. I have a couple little projects that I'd like to do, but they're not ready to talk about it yet, so. I don't know, I was never into history before living in Safety Harbor, so it's become a new passion. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so I know like everybody in the world goes to Amazon to buy books now, and your books are on Amazon. We were joking before the show that when I went and looked, the used books somehow are more expensive than new books. I don't know how that happened, but there are other places that you can get the books, and I don't know if you want to say which places are better for you, because that would be great to know for folks.
Well, I'll be honest, I have about 150 of these that, we got a little better deal buying in bulk. So I love it when people buy them directly from me because that's how I make a little bit of money. Writing books is not a money maker. It's a passion. Stephen King, he makes money on it. Yeah. But it's not something that you make a lot of money on. But I'd love to sell them to people and I get to meet people and sign them for them. But I have to say, the museum has been wonderful. Portkey Books, they sell them, and I hope you will all go into Portkey Books.
How nice is it? We have a bookstore in town now, right?
She will order books for you. Yeah. That's how it's like, Safety Harbor made it because we have a bookstore. So and the Chamber, they've been wonderful too. They sell both books. So if you're in a hurry or if you're just downtown and you want to do it that way, I love it. That's fine.
Awesome.
I also have them. I'm easy to reach.
And I'll put all those links in the show notes as well, too, so you can check that out. All right, let me do the news for this week, and then we'll get back to our 5 Qs and have a little fun with you. So, all right, our news is sponsored by Quaz Creative's new Public Safety Harbor storefront, featuring more than 90 Safety Harbor themed t-shirts and more. There's a link to that in the show description as well. On Monday night, the City Commission approved a site plan for a property across the street from Mullet Creek Park. And I'm curious what the history of that is. That might be fun for you. And also got a presentation on the results from the Downtown Master Plan visioning process, and that will be finalized here in the next couple of months. This Friday, city offices will be closed, obviously, for the holiday weekend, though recycling pickup will continue as scheduled. And from KSNB in Nebraska, learn how a Safety Harbor native is helping pet rescues raise money. That's a fun story as well, too. And things to do this week. Friday is the city's first Friday Flicks at Waterfront Park with the Minions, The Rise of Gru, the movie this month. I hope I pronounced that right. I'm not a Minions person. Sunday, of course, is Easter with a number of events throughout town, so check those out. And then Monday, it's Dingus Day at the American Legion Post 238. It's a Polish holiday, the Monday after Easter, and Legion Lane will be shut down with food, music, and more. More details on all these, news and things to do, and plenty more can be found on the Qua 34695 app, available for free at Google Play and the Apple App Store. Okay, all right, you ready for the 5 Qs part of this show?
Okay.
Always fun. This is how we learn more about our guests.
Root me on.
And as usual, we have 2 categories. No one has done the first one yet.
No.
Famous Hungarian violinist of the 1680s.
Yeah.
Sue suggested maybe harpist last week. I didn't change it.
I only know 2 things about that. So.
Yeah, not going to be on it. How about history? Will history work?
Yeah, I'll try.
All right, here we go. Let's try history. Oops. I'm sure you can't see the questions. I'm cheating on me. All right, cue number 1. What decade, any time in history, would you like to go back and experience?
Oh, wow. In any history or?
All the way back from the Big Bang.
Yeah. Wow, I'd love to go back. Just if I were an observer, probably post-Civil War.
Okay. Post-Civil War, not actual Civil War.
Right,
okay.
right. Here, Lincoln. But personally, I'd love to go back to 1880. To Texas, where my family emigrated to from England, and meet them. Just pretend, yeah.
Interesting. All right.
That's yeah.
I usually answer this question with 1960s.
Oh yeah.
It's just I think just so much going on there.
Oh, of course.
Camelot, moon landing, civil rights, all that kind of stuff. But I think
exactly.
recently I've started thinking.
That's a good one too.
Isn't it? It's just fascinating. Probably not an enjoyable decade.
Right,
but from a history standpoint.
Maybe we can figure out time travel one day.
There we go. But I think recently I've been thinking about how cool it would be like the 1780s. Like the country being born, right?
Yeah, right.
I don't know. That would just be fascinating.
You know, there's so much to. I guess we're probably safe.
Yeah.
We've been immunized.
Right. Probably would have been exciting for you. I mean, it was a very male-dominated point back then.
Yeah.
But anyhow, all right. Well, speaking of time travel, now cue number 2. Who would you rather time travel with? Marty McFly and his DeLorean, or Bill and Ted in their phone booth?
Oh, Marty. Yeah.
Marty, right away, not even a thought.
Oh, it's one of my favorite movies. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, there's like 7 of them too. So.
Well, yeah, the first one.
Awesome. All right. Yeah. You know, I'm going to go with Bill and Ted on that one, just because I think it would be fun.
They would be.
Plus, it's unpredictable. You know, Marty McFly typed in where he wanted to go.
Yeah, that's
which,
true.
as a control freak, I guess I would enjoy.
I'd do it because I want to meet Doc. That's probably.
Yeah, Doc is pretty cool. But all right, cue number 3. What is your favorite Safety Harbor historical site? And historical site could be defined however you want it to be. It doesn't have to be what it was in the past. It could be what it is now. Could be what it is in the past.
Probably the Baranoff Oak.
The oak.
Yeah, because you know any of our old trees, you can just get lost in thought and wonder. You know, Philippi was here when that tree was growing, and you know all these people throughout our history maybe sat under that tree. No, that's one.
It would be a good like time-lapse photo.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, going back before
right.
cameras were a thing, but you're right. Just to kind of see. I mean, we have like this. This is maple tree. I think I bought at one of these city fundraisers, and I realized it's been like 5 years now. And watching it grow and seeing.
Yeah.
Just where it is in 5 years, right?
Exactly.
And the Baranoff is hundreds.
I know.
Of years.
Yeah. And this is the first I've ever experienced trees like that. I mean, I grew up in the redwoods in California, and those are magnificent on their own. But yeah.
But you were going to go somewhere else too, right? When I cut you off there.
Oh no, I just I think there's a lot of history in Philippi Park. Half of it's not true.
Right.
But you know, even in the past 50 years, there's been history. So that's probably my second, or maybe tied.
Yeah, I was going to have to go with Philippi Park. Now, it's not technically Safety Harbor, but it's a Safety Harbor asset, I like to call it.
Yeah.
But I walk through there every morning, and
we're so fortunate.
Wild walking on this mound that you don't know what's underneath. So, all right. So this one could be a little controversial. I'm not trying to get you canceled. So answer this however safely you feel like you need to answer. What is the biggest threat to history in our present time?
Oh, I just I worry about people trying to rewrite it, and that's anybody, not any side.
It's actually both sides now.
Yeah, and we should just look back and say, yeah, that happened. It's not now, and let's look at it and honor it by telling its story.
That's exactly what I was going to say too, and it's frustrating and fascinating at the same time that it's not like a singular group. It's coming from all sides.
Yeah.
I just find it frustrating that I have these conversations with folks all the time, like TV shows from 30 years ago, and how you look back, oh, it's offensive now, and it is, but I like to tell people that art belongs to its era.
Yeah.
I don't know if you agree with that too, but I think same with history. History belongs to its era.
I think if you look at it objectively, and not everything was okay, but it happened.
Yeah.
We have to look at it and learn from it.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, I guess that's everything. How do you learn from it if you go back to history and change it to what it is now?
My favorite T-shirt is, "Don't make me repeat myself." History.
That's great. All right, well, good. We're on the same page on that one.
Yeah.
All right, last question. Cue number 5. Which historical figure, dead or alive, would you like to have lunch with?
Oh boy. Maybe Dr. Baronoff. I have to say.
So you're going local. I was going. It could be anybody. It could be local.
Wow.
Well, let's go with local first, and then give me a non-local one.
Oh my gosh.
Because Salem Baronoff would be a very interesting one, right?
Maybe Mark Twain. Maybe Poe. Find out why he was so cranky. Not really, but maybe
Eccentric though.
Lincoln. I mean, Lincoln just was somebody that I really admire, and I'd love to.
So you're stealing all my answers today. I like this.
But I heard he wasn't very, talkative, so I don't know.
Yeah, but I think we could have gotten something out of him.
Probably.
Right?
Join me.
Yeah,
Let's go.
right? No, you're right. I just find him, just his life story is interesting
Exactly.
too. That where he came from, how he even became president, how you managed to hold a country together, and all that. I don't know. Yeah,
exactly.
And lots of family issues too.
Right.
Like both with his wife and himself.
So many tragedies.
Right?
Yeah.
So really interesting person. Now, if the question was have a beer with, I would go with Ben Franklin. That dude knew how to party, I think, right?
Right.
All right. Well, that's what we have this week. Thank you for being here, Laura.
Thank you
please
so
go
much.
buy her book. Buy them from her or from our local stores in town. Let Amazon make us money other places. And get out and enjoy the history of Safety Harbor. It's fantastic. And hopefully we'll see you at the cemetery sometime. And until then, next week. Thanks.
Thank you.